Hello, this video is just to show off a little bit of Reason 6. I just recently upgraded from Reason 5 and Record 1.5 to Reason 6, and I wanted to show off the new modules a little bit to those people who are interested in buying it. So without further ado, let's start off right away. There's 3 new modules introduced to Reason. There is, we have the Alligator Filter Gate, the Pulverizer Demolition, and the Echo. Now the Echo is a new delay module. The Alligator Filter Gate is a gate module, and it's very unique and it creates some really cool sounds. This is currently my favorite new thing. And a Pulverizer is a new distortion unit. So I'm going to show you my favorite first, the Alligator. So this works really good with pads. So I'm going to load up a pad that I have pre-made here. Let me turn off this filter here. So it's a pretty standard pad, but I'm going to do the fun part, and we are going to add the Alligator. Now right now I have the initialized patch, so we're going to get the very basic, just very basic gate there. But here it splits your signal into 3 separate gates here. The top signal goes through a high pass filter, and we have an LFO down here where you can control the frequency and the shape, and this controls the amount that this filter will follow that LFO. So for instance, I'm going to turn these 2 down. Let's put our tempo up to, let's say, 133, and we'll do 4/4 LFO, and we'll keep it on that. Let's do the triangle. So we have that basic sound. We add a little LFO. And it moves that high pass filter around. And we can also change the frequency. I'm going to leave it right about there. And then we also have the resonance. And the high pass envelope amount. And now the filter will continue on through the shaper here, and we have a drive which affects the high pass over here. We have a phaser, and the phaser controls the rate down here. So I'm going to turn that up a bit, put a little bit of feedback on. And then we also have a delay, and the delay controls the rate here. I'm going to leave that on 316. And already we have a pretty neat sounding gate already, and we haven't even used these 2 yet. So once you throw these 2 in, let's do these real quick. You get some really complex and interesting sounds out of it. So I'm just gonna go through this quickly. So that's pretty unique. And then if we pair it with the high, and now finally let's do the low. I'm going to leave the low alone a little bit. I'm just going to put a little bit of delay on there. And other than that, I'll just leave it be. So let's put these up. I'm going to pan the high a little bit over, let's say about 12, mid to about 12. And then you can choose from, you have your rate there, but you can also choose, besides rate, 64 presets in here, so they have a bunch of different gates. So you can see the lights move with the setting. So I'm just going to choose a random one. So it's a pretty neat sound. And you can also add in the raw sound behind it and add ducking, which it's kind of hard to explain. Ducking kind of it kind of puts the effects behind the raw, you know, the raw input, if that makes any sense. For instance, I'll play without ducking. Okay, I had that backwards. It puts the gated footage, or footage, what am I talking about? It puts the gated sound, and it'll decrease the volume of the raw input as the gated sound is being played over it. Usually I keep this down because I like to mix them. So already you have a pretty unique sound. And then you also have an amp and a filter envelope here, so you can turn that into a nice pluck sound by turning down the decay here. And then you can shape that even further with the filter envelope, which will, for those you don't know, the attack, decay, and release of these filters right here. So we can give those plucks a little more punch with that. So that's the Alligator. There's literally so much you can do with it. Even with the patterns here, you don't have to play these patterns. You can manually do these triggers in the sequencer here, or you can even use a matrix pattern sequencer. So we'll flip this to bipolar and put the curve CV into the high pass here. Switch this up to curve instead of keys, and let's put this on run. So whenever I play it, yep, I do something wrong here. Oh, I forgot to. There we go. Uh-oh. What did I forget to do? Oh, I put that in the wrong input. It should go over here. There we go. And even if you don't want to do a raw gate, if you want to do something more stuttered and unique, you can. So you can do your own, matrix for each of these, or you can, you can even put down a Oh, where's that at? You can even put down a CV merger and splitter for each of these gates here, and you can. It's really nice because there's so much you can do, making your own patterns and all that. So that's the Alligator. Next is, I'll show you the Echo, and I'll get a plucked instrument to show that off. So let's pick a good plucked instrument here. Okay, this sounds good. I'm going to get rid of this delay here. And let's slap on the Echo. Now right away, you have your delay time right here, and you have different modes here. I'm not going to get into that. I haven't really, well, normal is just obviously, it's just like a normal delay. Triggered is you can trigger it whenever you want and it'll delay. So that's, you know, really, if you're really getting into it and really specific. And then roll's kind of hard to explain. I think Propeller had put up a video showing each of these modes off, so I'm not going to get into that too much. And then you have your delay here. I'm going to leave it on 3/16, and then the offset for the right. I think this is pretty cool. So it'll bounce around your head there, and I think that's pretty cool. And then you have feedback, which is self-explanatory, and pretty much affects how long the delay will last. And then this is cool. You have diffusion, which will pretty much distort the sound as it fades out. So I'll turn this up a little bit, the spread and the amount. So as you can hear, it kind of, you know, comes apart. And then you have color here. You can do, you can turn this drive up. So there's overdrive, distortion tube, and limiter at the top, I believe that is. So I'm going to leave it on the top one. And then you have a filter. You can change the frequency of the delay. So I can make it, and then you have your resonance. And then the modulation. This, I've never really used this. I imagine it could work for vocals and that, but I haven't found a personal use for it yet. And then you can also add wobble. So I guess it's good for making a sort of classic delay effect where the pitch, you know, it's like a wandering pitch, I guess you could say. And then there's the LFO, which controls that. And then finally we have the ducking here, and then the dry wet, which is turned all the way up. So I'm going to turn it down so we can get, well, let's put it about here so we can get our regular sound with the new echo we added on there. So the echo is very useful. I really, really like this one as well. It's definitely a lot more versatile and you know, a lot more useful to me than the original delay. Even though I still use the you know, the original delay line, I still make use of that. It's, you know, good for quick on the go delay lines and that. But this is a much easier and much more involved, to me, like a much more customizable delay line, and it's a lot more fun for me. And then lastly, we have the Pulverizer, which I haven't really used too much other than putting compression on my drums. So I'm going to make a quick drum line here, real quick. Okay, here's redrum. Let's do a basic 4 on the floor. Get a trans kick. That'll do. Snare. Or a clap. I prefer claps. And a open hat. Okay, now I'm going to run this through the mixer here, and we'll get this pulverizer. And I haven't really got too much into this, and I'm sure there's a lot more that there's probably a ton you can do with it that I'm not aware of. But I really like the effect you can give to drums, like the compression. It makes them to me a lot more gritty, and gives them kind of a warmer sound. But instead of talking about it, I'll just show you. So already you can create quite a nice groove with this compression here, this squash, and then you also have a filter with frequency, peak, a tremor, which is that's better for other effects, you know, like instruments and that. I haven't really used it for percussion yet, but it like for regular instrument, it gives it like a nice jazzy tremolo. And then the follower, which further affects that. It's almost like to me, it's almost like an elephant. And then you have your dry wet here, and then you can the follower can, you know, I can't articulate right now. The follower will affect the amounts of each of these based on your settings here, and then this is the amount of how much it'll affect that. So I'm gonna play with this real quick. So it's definitely a nice way to get a nice hard drum, you know, make it nice and gritty. Oh, and I forgot to mention this little nub down here, which will it'll change the order that this goes in. So right now I have squat. It'll squash my signal first, then add the dirt to it, and then go through the filter. But I can change it where it'll go through the filter first, then add the squash, and then the dirt. And like I said before, you cannot. Reason has a video showing this off, and they explain each of this a little better. And then there's also a bunch of patches for all of these as well. If you have Reason, you can explore this for yourself. And I definitely recommend it. I think it's a wonderful program. I've always enjoyed Reason. This Reason 6, they've pretty much made record obsolete with it, because you don't even need record anymore. This is all Reason 6 without record. They've pretty much merged the two programs together into one now. So, you know, if you're in the market for software, I definitely recommend it. It's definitely worth a buy. You know, there's a ton you can do with it. So, this is just my video. Show this off real quick to you guys. If you want any tutorials to make any any instruments of any kind, I'm always looking for suggestions. So thank you for watching, and see you next time.